Questions about what's next after Trump says both Iran and Israel violated the terms of a ceasefire he helped to broker. Joining us this morning with more insight into the Middle East conflict is president of the Government Accountability Institute and New York Times best-selling author Peter Schweizer. Good to see you, sir, as always. First, what do you make of these latest developments? Where Trump's saying, both of you violated this ceasefire.
Yeah, look, I think a ceasefire is an excellent idea, but there's a couple of challenges. One is that, Israel clearly has the upper hand. They viewed Iran as a threat, I think rightfully so, for quite a long time. And they're looking to finish the job. And so I think that's the temptation they have to violate the ceasefire. On the side of Iran, I think, have the problem where you have fractured leadership. On the one hand, they said they agreed to the ceasefire, but then there were denials by other Iranians that they'd ever done so. They launched this missile attack against Israel, but then there were denials that they actually did it. I think you're seeing tensions between the Iranian Revolutionary Guards and the general military of Iran. So it's really hard who is agreeing to a ceasefire and who is violating a ceasefire in Iran.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he had a clear goal to destroy Iran's nuclear program. They also say Iran's goal was just to wipe out their entire country. What's your thoughts? Do we trust the largest state sponsor of terror to agree to any peace negotiations?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. Of course, this could all be a ruse by the Iranians. They're saying one thing and doing the other. But I think their situation, frankly, is so desperate. I think they would love to have a ceasefire if it could hold, because Israel has absolutely devastated their nuclear infrastructure. They've also, by the way, killed off at least half a dozen senior leaders of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, which is sort of the Praetorian Guard of the Iranian regime. They are more trusted than the regular military. So they have been absolutely devastated by this. And I think Netanyahu is correct in pointing out the problem is the nuclear arsenal. It's also the nature of the Iranian regime. Let's remember the leader, the Ayatollah, who's been in charge. He's 89 years old. He has not left the country since he took power in 1989. This is not somebody who has an appreciation or understanding of other countries, and of course has a huge hostility, not just to Israel, but to the general Judeo-Christian way of life, which he views as offensive and as a threat to his particular militant brand of Islam.
Can there be peace with this regime?
I think it's very hard. I think you can probably get a ceasefire, but they're going to use the ceasefire to essentially recoup and rebuild what they have. The challenge, Jan, is sort of what are the options? I mean, one of the options was to do nothing, which I don't think was a viable option in terms of the nuclear program. The other option is regime change. But we tried that before. We tried that in Iraq. We tried nation building. I don't think anybody has the stomach for that, not only in terms of human life, in terms of American fighting men and women, but also in terms of the actual cost, the hundreds of billions of dollars you're looking at. So I think the choice that Donald Trump made in striking these sites was the right one. He had three choices, none of which were great. This was the best one. I think it was executed very well. And I think now it's a question of bringing the region together. Let's remember, when Trump took out Soleimani, the Iranian leader, in his first administration, there was all sorts of panic that this was going to lead to widespread war. What happened? In less than a year later, we got the Abraham Accords. So there is the possible potential here that this could have a wonderful effect in bringing region-wide peace.
Very good point. And also, when you talk about, Iran trying to get other assets from other countries, enemy countries, we're talking, China and Russia. 4 years of the Biden administration strengthened those ties between Iran and China and Russia and North Korea. So would Iran even get involved with any war without the support of China or Russia?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other dilemma here. Russia, I think, wants to be helpful. They have a long relationship with the Iranians. They help develop part of the nuclear infrastructure. The problem is they have this problem in Ukraine. They're fighting a war, and they're not doing particularly well. They thought they were going to win in 2 weeks. We're now several years down the road. So they don't really have the bandwidth in terms of military capability to help that much. If you look at China, they certainly have the capabilities, but China's limited. They don't want the Straits of Hormuz closed because that's where they rely on the bulk of their energy. Most of their oil comes from Iran. So what they don't want is an escalation that leads Israel to strike oil refineries, let's say in Iran, because what happens? That means China loses its oil supply from Iran, which is its largest source. So their hands are tied as well. We should look for China to engage in other activities elsewhere. We need to be watching what's going on in Taiwan. We certainly need to look in the cyber area, look for cyber attacks. But really, those countries have a problem when it comes to Iran. They don't have a lot of great options, and the United States and Israel clearly have the upper hand.
All right. Peter Schweizer, always great to see you. We appreciate your insight and hope to have you on very soon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jen.